Hello, Lauren here with Lauren Elizabeth Animal Art. I hope you're having a marvelous start to your fall. I'm on day 280 of my 365 days of color. Today I'll be sharing exactly how I paint Siberian tigers, and I'll also be sharing some super helpful color tips. All right guys, let's jump right in. Alright, so a very common question I get is, do you paint the stripes first or after? Now, I've tried both ways, and my recommendation is the stripes first and then the fur around it, but it's entirely up to you. Find what you're more comfortable with. So what I do is I'll paint the stripes, I'll let that dry, and then I'll paint the fur around the stripes, and then I'll go back in and touch up those stripes 1 or 2 times. Now the colors I use for painting the orange tannish fur is raw sienna, orange, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and burnt umber. Sometimes I may use some red oxide as well, and then sometimes I may also pull in some fluorescent pink because that really goes well with the orange. Now for the white fur, because in that orange fur I'm using lots of orange and yellow, I like to pull in blue and violet. So I used white with lots of Prisma violet and phthalo blue and some more yellow ochre. Now for those stripes, I used burnt umber and Prisma violet. And I really wanted to pull out those violets, so at the very end, I mixed in just a little bit of white with my violet and applied those to all the stripes. I prefer to go more abstract on the white fur and more realistic on that orange tannish fur. Now the tricky part is, how do you connect the white fur to the orange tan fur? I found that using yellows and some light violets, even mixed in with some yellow, helped me connect that orange tan fur to the white areas. That way I could then move to a light blue, or in those darker areas like below the chest, I could move to a darker violet or even a darker blue. In some areas, like around the neck, I pulled in some gray to those violets because gray works really well with purple. Now here for the background, I'm not using just black. I mixed up phthalo blue and burnt umber. It is just a beautiful, rich color instead of black, and it also complements the orange in the tiger. I made the left side more blue and the right side more brown. And the tiger and the couch are both in the foreground. So we've got a good amount of detail, but not too much because we're zoomed out so we can see the full tiger and the full couch. What this means is I need to make it look like the tiger is furry, but not too much. So what I did was I laid down the first layer of colors for both the stripes and the tiger fur around the stripes, and then I went back with those colors, 1 or 2 or 3 layers even, to cluster lines in the areas that were the most furry or just the most close up. So what that looks like in terms of my painting technique, I put a flat layer, just one, to cover all the white in the tiger. That's layer 1, and then the layers over top that are similar in color and value, I created more detail with the clusters of lines cutting into those stripes. Now tiger fur isn't actually that long, but the longest areas are around the chest, underbelly, and of course around the mane, and that's where I used a medium flat brush. And then for the little strands that are cutting into the stripes, I just use a size 1 round brush and just did individual lines to cluster them so that they cut in, making it look furry. So that's a very important part that you can do either in the middle or at the end. You don't want to just have strips for your stripes. You need to have some fur from the fur around the stripes cut in over top the black or whatever color you're using for the stripes. Just remember when you're doing that, you're using a very light color over top a very dark color for the stripes. So you can either go about it 2 ways. You can keep your stripes thin and then expand your stripes out, making it look like that fur, or you can just layer lots and lots of layers over top the stripes with your lighter fur. Does this make sense? Now let's talk about those beautiful, gigantic tiger paws. Oh my goodness, are they huge. I used gray to paint in all the toes and then a dark gray to separate them. And those claws, when they're not extended and the cat is very calm and at rest, they sit very high on the toe. Then right above that is that yellow, brownish, orangish fur. So I used orange with some yellow ochre and raw sienna, and then got darker with more raw sienna and less yellow ochre and orange as I moved up the arm. Now the tiger reference photo that I found is of a tiger that's outside in real strong sunlight. So every part of the tiger is being touched by light. So I changed that in this painting and made the light source coming from above. A little bit from the left, but mostly from above. Here's a shout out to moms who are so tired right now because their kids keep getting sick. Thank God I didn't take a sip of that coffee. Moms, don't give up. Keep feeding your children that healthy food. Keep washing your hands. Keep doing your best, and this too shall pass. Now I want to share with you the story behind this couch. You're probably wondering why there's a tiger resting on a couch. This is called a tufted camelback supper club couch. Years ago, I did a mural for a supper club style restaurant. It was so much fun, guys, because every day that I came in to paint, I got to see the construction and all the furniture being brought in, all the design work. So all I had to do was paint and I could just watch this restaurant come to life. A shout out to my sister-in-law, Kasha Witzip, who was the interior designer for this whole project. She is incredible. And I was one of the first to sit in one of these royalty couches. You truly feel like a queen when you sit in them. They're so soft and comfy. They were actually booths more than couches at this restaurant, I will admit. But it definitely stuck with me. And now that we're in fall, I wanted to pair lots of oranges and reds and browns in this painting. And then I eventually decide I want to go with green for this pillow. Thank you, Masterclass students who have been helping me with that. I couldn't think of the right color for it, but it turned out a dark turquoise was the right one just to pull out those reds in the couch. And then that led to me adding ivy, and there's an ivy plant right next to me on my table here, which I eventually lay over top this right side of the couch that I'm painting here. All right, so now it's time to pause and reflect. There is a lesson in everything, and I like to document this in my art. So not only was this painting inspired by the Supper Club style restaurant I painted for, but also it's the Jackie Robinson story. It's called 42. That's the film. It's based on a true story. Kind of random, I know, but it's a film I watched not long ago of Jackie Robinson, played by the best human being to take this role, Chadwick Boseman. And Jackie became the first African-American player in the 20th century to take the National Baseball League. And despite extreme abuse and racial discrimination throughout his entire life, but definitely even more so when he became a baseball player, he changed the world by his gentle and quiet spirit. And that is what I called this painting, a gentle and quiet spirit. Now, another epic actor, Harrison Ford, he played the Brooklyn Dodgers manager. And first Robinson says in this movie, you want a player that's got the guts to fight back? And then Harrison Ford, the manager, says, no, I want a player that's got the guts not to fight. And that's exactly what Jackie did. He just played ball, and with all his might. He didn't get distracted by the constant abuse. He never fought back, even when other players wanted him dead and pulled off the field. He just turned the other cheek. His gentleness was never weak or cowardice. It was just power under control. And this just inspired me so much in my own life. I am reminded by Jackie's example to just paint, just do what I was called to do, turn the other cheek when others are nasty, and that's all I can do. I can be gentle and kind no matter what, because like Jackie and like his manager knew, fighting back wouldn't solve anything. It's when we respond with anger and violence that more anger and violence results. It's just like a soft word turns away wrath, but a harsh one stirs up more anger. And having a gentle and quiet spirit isn't a personality thing. It's the position of our hearts. It's having the strength to endure all things, good and bad, without resentment or retaliation of any kind. It goes along with this verse, Romans 12:21. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And like Jackie shows us, we can still fight for justice and still stand up for those without a voice, but not in the way we keep seeing it today. Now, in my own life, what really helps me to keep my mouth shut and to have that gentle response is the verse Psalms 7:6. God is our vindicator. He is righteous, just, and fair. So I don't have to retaliate. I can trust that the Lord sees all things, and I can lean on his strength, his self-control to respond in the way that honors him. And I'm learning, I think that's the other part of having a gentle and quiet spirit, is if we don't want to be so easily shaken and stirred up by other people's aggression towards us or nasty comments, we have to have a settled and quiet spirit ourselves by just constantly seeking the Lord and his peace and his strength and seeking his word that helps us to stay grounded. All right, creative, so back to this painting. Here I was almost finished. I just had to add the ivy, add the little rat on the left arm of the couch, and then finish the pillow and a few touch-ups to the tiger. So I'll let you watch that until the end. I will tell you though, unfortunately, I didn't film me painting the rat because I've never painted a rat before, and it was something I just had to turn off the camera and see for myself. It's a little test run for the next masterclass tutorial that I'll be painting. Now this Siberian tiger and the other one I previewed at the beginning of this video is up on my shop, available for sale, which I've linked down below. You'll also find a link to my online animal art masterclass that's also in the description box. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye.